The city of Lumina hummed a soft electric lullaby beneath a sky painted in impossible hues. Not the greys and blues of old Earth, but a swirling tapestry of violet and emerald, shot through with the distant glitter of nebulae. Elara, small and curious, pressed her nose against the cool plasteel of her window, her breath fogging the view for a moment before the pain self-cleared. Her room was a quiet haven in the sprawling metropolis. Walls of soft shifting light could mimic anything from a sun-drenched meadow to the swirling currents of a gas giant. Tonight, they glowed a gentle cerulean, reflecting the deep space outside. A single luminous orb, her companion AI, Lumen, floated beside her bed. Lumen was a sphere of intelligent light, capable of projecting anything Elara needed: stories, lessons, or just a comforting glow in the dark. "Lumen," Elara whispered, her voice barely a breath against the vastness. "Show me Kepler 186f again." The blue walls shimmered, and suddenly, the room dissolved into the vibrant alien landscape of a distant exoplanet. Crimson trees reached for a sky the color of ripe plums, their leaves unfurling like intricate fans. Strange luminescent flora pulsed with soft light, illuminating a forest floor carpeted in silver moss. A gentle alien breeze, recreated perfectly by Lumen's atmospheric projectors, ruffled Elara's dark hair. She felt the phantom scent of exotic blossoms, a mix of spice and sweet nectar. "Kepler 186, Lumen's voice, a soothing gender-neutral hum, resonated softly from the orb, orbiting a red dwarf star. "Surface temperature averages 22 degrees Celsius. Potential for liquid water, though unconfirmed. Estimated distance from Lumina, 490 light-years." Elara didn't care about the numbers so much as the feeling. It was the feeling of being utterly elsewhere, of seeing things no one on old Earth could have ever imagined. Lumina, her home, was beautiful, a marvel of human ingenuity nestled on the habitable moon of a gas giant, but it was still human. These simulated worlds, however, felt truly alien. She traced the outline of a particularly flamboyant crimson tree, with her finger against the projected light. "Do you think anyone lives there, Lumen?" "The current data suggests no complex sentient life forms, Elara," Lumen replied. "Microbial life remains a possibility. But maybe they're just different," Elara mused, turning from the projection to look at Lumen. "Maybe they don't make cities or spaceships. Maybe they're like the trees, just living and glowing." Lumen's orb pulsed thoughtfully. "An intriguing hypothesis, Elara. The universe holds infinite possibilities." Elara sighed, a small sound in the vastness of her projected cosmos. Her parents, brilliant xenobotanists, were often away on expeditions, exploring the real Kepler 186 EFEs and cataloguing the wonders they found. They left her with Lumen, with their vast library of knowledge, and with the promise of stories upon their return. But sometimes, even with all the wonders Lumen could conjure, Elara felt a little piece of her heart yearn for the real thing. The real touch of alien moss, the real scent of crimson blossoms. The Lumina night deepened outside her window. The city below was a sprawling tapestry of light, tendrils of illuminated pathways stretching between towering arcologies. Sky lanes, invisible except for the shimmering trails of lev cars, crisscrossed the upper atmosphere. Beneath it all, far below the city's lowest levels, pulsed the warm, geothermal glow of Lumina's core, harnessed and channeled to power their entire world. "Time for bed, Elara," Lumen gently reminded her, and the crimson forest faded, replaced by the soft cerulean of her room walls. "Your parents will be pleased to know you are maintaining your sleep schedule." Elara climbed into her zero-gravity bed, the soft, resilient mesh conforming perfectly to her small body. She reached out and wrapped her fingers around the cool, smooth surface of Lumen's orb. "Tell me a story tonight, Lumen. A new one, about something small that made a big journey." Lumen's light softened further, a warm, golden hue. "Of course, Elara. Once, in a galaxy far, far from ours, nestled within the heart of a dying star, there was a tiny particle of light. It wasn't a star itself, nor a planet, but a single infinitesimal photon, born from the immense fusion fires of its stellar parent." Elara closed her eyes, picturing the tiny photon, feeling its journey begin. This photon dreamed of seeing the universe. For millennia it was trapped, bouncing endlessly within the star's dense plasma, yearning for escape. It saw the birth of heavier elements, the dance of atomic nuclei, the immense pressure and heat of creation. It learned patience, and then, one day, with a final, magnificent burst of energy, it broke free. It raced from the star's surface. Elara imagined the sudden freedom, the dizzying speed. It traveled for eons. Elara, past swirling nebulae of gas and dust, through the gravitational pull of black holes, past galaxies that shone like jewels in the cosmic dark. It saw stars being born and stars dying. It witnessed the silent, majestic ballet of planets orbiting their suns. It was just a single photon, yet it carried within it the entire history of its birth, the immense energy that propelled it forward. The immense energy that Lumen's story continued, weaving a tapestry of cosmic wonder and quiet perseverance. Elara drifted off to sleep, her dreams filled with the silent flight of the photon, a tiny explorer seeing all the universe had to offer. When? The next morning Elara awoke to the scent of freshly synthesized Nutri-Paste and the gentle chime of her comlink. Her parents? Their faces, worn but smiling, appeared on her bedroom wall, projected from light years away. Her mother, Dr. Auris Thorne, had a streak of alien pollen in her dark hair, a vibrant emerald. Her father, Dr. Jian Li, wore his usual look of intense focus, though his eyes softened when he saw Elara. "Good morning, Starlight," her mother said, her voice a little crackly, but full of warmth. "How was your sleep?" "Good," Elara mumbled, still a little sleepy. "Lumen told me a story about a photon. Are you coming home soon?" Her father chuckled. "Soon, Elara. We're just finishing up our survey of the fungal forests on Ixylos 7. The bioluminescence here is unlike anything we've ever seen. We even found a new species of sentient mycelium." Elara tried to imagine sentient mushrooms, but her mind drifted back to the photon. "Is it like the stardust you told me about, Papa? The stuff that travels across space?" Her mother's smile widened. "Even better, my dear. Stardust is just the remnants of cosmic journeys. What we're seeing here is life, vibrant and active, spreading its spores across the planet, telling its own story." "We have a surprise for you, Elara," her father added, his eyes twinkling. "A little something from our travels. It should arrive this afternoon." Elara's eyes widened. Her parents always brought back the most incredible things. A petrified root from a forest on a gas giant, a shard of crystallized meteor from an asteroid belt, a recorded symphony of alien whale songs. "What is it?" she asked, bouncing slightly on her bed. Her mother just winked. "You'll see. Now we have to go. Data collection awaits. Be good for Lumen and we'll talk again tonight, Starlight." The projection faded, leaving Elara with a renewed sense of anticipation. A surprise. What could it be? After her Nutri-Paste and a short lesson with Lumen on the history of interstellar travel, Elara decided she couldn't wait indoors. She wanted to be closer to the real stars, even if they were still light years away. "Lumen, can we go to the Grand Celestial Observatory?" she asked. "Of course, Elara," Lumen replied, floating ahead of her as they left her apartment. The journey to the observatory was an adventure in itself. They took a LEV train, a sleek, silent vehicle that glided effortlessly along electromagnetic tracks suspended high above the city. Below, Lumina bustled with activity. Automated cargo drones zipped between skyscrapers, their anti-grav engines humming softly. Pedestrians moved along glowing walkways, their personal comm devices projecting holographic displays around them. The air was clean, filtered and scented with artificial pine, a comforting aroma. The Grand Celestial Observatory was Lumina's crown jewel, a magnificent structure that seemed to pierce the very heavens. Its crystalline spire, made of a transparent, ultra-durable alloy, reached miles into the sky, culminating in a vast spherical dome that housed the primary viewing chamber. It wasn't just a place for scientific research. It was a public sanctuary, a place where anyone could connect with the cosmos. As Elara and Lumen entered the main hall, the usual hum of the city faded, replaced by a deep, resonant silence. The walls of the hall were made of the same transparent alloy, offering an unobstructed view of the swirling violet and emerald sky, the distant pinpricks of stars, and the majestic gas giant around which Lumina orbited. Giant holographic projections of nebulae, star clusters, and distant galaxies drifted through the open space, slow and mesmerizing. Elara loved the observatory. It was here that she felt closest to her parents, closest to the wonders they explored. She loved the hushed whispers of the visitors, the quiet reverence in their eyes as they gazed at the cosmic displays. They took a low-gravity elevator up to the primary viewing dome. As the doors hissed open, Elara gasped, as she always did. The dome was vast, a perfect hemisphere offering a 360-degree panorama of space. Instead of seats, there were comfortable, semi-reclined viewing couches, each equipped with personalized sensory projections. "Welcome, Elara," a voice said, warm and deep. Elara looked up to see Elder Theron approaching. Theron was an ancient man, his skin weathered like an old space chart, his eyes crinkling at the corners with a lifetime of stargazing. He was one of the observatory's lead astronomers, and he often indulged Elara's endless questions. "Elder Theron." Elara beamed. "Are there any new discoveries today?" Theron chuckled, his gaze still fixed on a distant galaxy projected across the dome. "Every day holds new discoveries, child, if you know where to look. Today we're focusing on the Lyra 17 system, a newly charted star cluster. Come lie down." Elara eagerly settled into a viewing couch, Lumen floating beside her. The couch adjusted to her posture, and soft, almost imperceptible currents of air began to flow around her, simulating the subtle movements of zero-G. Theron activated a personalized display above her. Suddenly, Elara wasn't in the observatory anymore. She was floating in the blackness of space, surrounded by thousands of shimmering stars. The Lyra 17 cluster unfolded before her, a breathtaking explosion of young, blue-white stars, their light coalescing into a shimmering cloud. "This is not a simulation, Elara," Theron's voice rumbled in her ear, projected directly to her auditory sensors. "This is real-time data, rendered for optimal immersion. We are, in a sense, truly Etheraing." Elara reached out, her fingers passing through the projected light of a distant star. She felt a strange tingling sensation, almost as if she could feel its heat. The air around her shifted, carrying the faint metallic scent of ozone, the smell of fresh stars being born. She could hear a faint harmonic hum, the cosmic music of the stellar nursery. "Look closely at the edges of the cluster," Theron instructed. "Do you see the faint trails, the wisps of light?" Elara squinted, her eyes adjusting. She saw them, tiny, almost imperceptible streaks of luminous particles, drifting away from the vibrant heart of the cluster. "Those are fragments of nebula dust, Elara," Theron explained. "The raw material of stars, scattered by the stellar winds. But some of them, particularly the ones that have been exposed to the intense radiation of collapsing stars, become something more." "Stardust?" Elara whispered, remembering her father's stories. "Precisely," Theron confirmed. "True stardust, not just cosmic dust, but particles imbued with the residual energy of stellar birth and death. They carry the memories of collapsing suns, the echoes of supernovae. They are, in a way, the universe's most ancient travelers, carrying tales from one end of creation to the other." Elara imagined the tiny particles, each one a miniature photon from Lumen's story, but carrying even more. A whole history, a whole journey. "Where do they go?" she asked. "Everywhere," Theron said, his voice laced with wonder. "They drift through the void, sometimes for millions of years, until they are caught by a planet's gravity, or coalesce into new nebulae, waiting for the next cycle of creation. Sometimes, they even find their way to us." Elara lay there for a long time, lost in the immersive display, feeling the silent, immense presence of the universe around her. She imagined those particles drifting, waiting. What stories did they carry? What secrets did they hold? When she finally emerged from the viewing couch, her mind felt expanded, filled with the vastness she had just witnessed. Lumina, her home, seemed smaller, yet more precious, nestled on its moon, warmed by its gas giant and surrounded by that infinite silent ocean of stars. As they made their way back to the main hall, a light on Lumen's orb pulsed. "Elara, A delivery has arrived at your apartment, from your parents. Elara's heart leapt. The surprise! She thanked Elder Theron, promising to return soon, and practically dragged Lumen back to the Lev train. The journey back seemed to take forever, though it was only minutes. Bursting through the door of her apartment, Elara scanned the main living area. On the central holotable, a small, elegantly wrapped package shimmered. It wasn't large, no bigger than her hand, and it glowed with a faint internal light. Carefully, Elara unwrapped the package. Beneath layers of shimmering, translucent biosilk, nestled in a bed of soft synthetic moss, was a small ornate vial. It was made of a material that looked like polished obsidian, but was transparent, allowing the contents to be seen. And inside, shimmering with an ethereal silver-blue glow, was stardust. Not the projected stardust from the observatory, not the simulated light of Lumen stories. This was real. Each tiny particle within the vial pulsed with its own faint light, like miniature stars captured in a bottle. They swirled gently, almost as if alive, responding to some unseen current within the vial. Elara picked up the vial. It was cool to the touch, yet vibrated with a faint, almost imperceptible energy. The light from the stardust cast shifting patterns on her palm, like tiny dancing constellations. It felt ancient, yet vibrant, holding a secret energy. "What is it, Lumen?" she whispered, her voice filled with awe. Lumen projected a detailed scan onto the wall. "Analysis complete, Elara. This is indeed genuine stardust. Specifically, it appears to be silicate particles enriched with exotic heavy elements, likely formed during a Type II supernova event in a nebula approximately 10 million light-years from Lumina." 10 million light-years, Elara breathed. It was almost impossible to comprehend. This tiny vial held particles that had traveled for eons, from a star that had exploded before Lumina was even a dream in humanity's mind. She held the vial up to her eye, peering into its depths. The stardust seemed to swirl faster now, responding to her gaze, to her excitement. It was more beautiful, more profound than anything she had ever seen in a simulation. It was the universe, in miniature, in her hand. Suddenly, one of the particles within the vial, larger and brighter than the others, began to pulse with a distinct rhythmic glow. It separated slightly from the others, moving towards the obsidian-like glass, as if trying to get closer to her. Lumen's light flickered. "Elara, the stardust appears to be..." The single bright particle pulsed faster, its silver-blue light intensifying, almost a beacon within the vial. It began to emit a faint, high-pitched hum, a sound so subtle Elara almost missed it. And then, slowly, deliberately, it began to drift. Not randomly, but with a clear sense of direction, pointing towards her window, towards the distant, glittering ocean of stars beyond Luminar. Elara stared at the vial, then at the window, her heart thumping with a mixture of wonder and a dawning sense of mystery. This wasn't just a gift. This was a message. A compass. A whisper from the cosmos, held in a bottle. The stardust, a piece of a distant exploded star, seemed to be calling her somewhere. Elara stared at the vial, then at the window, her heart thumping with a mixture of wonder and a dawning sense of mystery. Reader, this wasn't just a gift. This was a message. A compass. A whisper from the cosmos, held in a bottle. The stardust, a piece of a distant exploded star, seemed to be calling her somewhere. She carefully set the vial on her bedside table, but it didn't stay put. A faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through the glass, and it slowly, inexorably, began to slide. It nudged against her data slate, then her water carafe, until it reached the very edge of the table, closest to the window. It pulsed with a soft, internal light, like a tiny, captured heartbeat. Elara picked it up again, the glass warm beneath her fingers. She turned it, trying to trick it, holding it point down, then sideways. But each time with a gentle, persistent will of its own, the shimmering motes inside would reorient, coalescing into a shimmering arrow that pointed outward, past the transparent walls of her room, past the glowing spires of Luma, into the fathomless indigo beyond. "What are you?" she whispered, a thrill running down her spine. The Stardust didn't answer, but its silent insistence was louder than any voice. It felt like a key, a map, a secret waiting to be unlocked. Sleep was impossible. Ilara spent the rest of the night tracing constellations on the star charts projected onto her ceiling, trying to match the Stardust's unwavering bearing to any known celestial body. It pointed generally outward, past the familiar routes to the Martian colonies, past the glittering dust lanes of the Kuiper Belt, towards regions that were either sparsely charted or entirely blank on her standard navigational overlays. It was a direction, not a destination, a vector into the true unknown. As dawn bloomed, painting the sky beyond Lumina in hues of violet and rose, Ilara finally knew what she had to do. This wasn't something she could keep to herself. Her parents, Dr. Aris and Captain Lena Vance, were already up, a low hum of activity emanating from the kitchen. Dr. Aris, a xenobotanist, was meticulously brewing his morning synth tea, while Captain Lena, a former star pilot now managing Lumina's orbital traffic, reviewed holographic reports projected above the breakfast table. "Morning, Starlight," Lena greeted, noticing Ilara's wide, unblinking eyes. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Or a nebula," Aris added, adjusting his spectacles. "You're up early, Ilara." Ilara walked to the table, the vial clutched tightly in her hand. She placed it gently in the center of the polished durasteel, and watched as it slowly, deliberately, began its silent dance, pointing towards the window, towards the distant star ocean. Her parents exchanged a glance. Aris leaned in, his brow furrowed in scientific curiosity. Lena, ever practical, reached out a hand, but stopped short of touching it. "The Stardust," Ilara began, her voice a little shaky with excitement. "Grandmother Lyra said it was from a star that exploded long ago. But it's not just stardust, it's a compass." She explained how it had drifted, how it always pointed. Aris picked up the vial, turning it slowly. The stardust inside shimmered, reorienting with an almost intelligent grace. "Fascinating," he murmured. "A persistent directional field, somehow imprinted or encoded within the particles. But to what? A specific gravitational anomaly? A unique energy signature?" Lena's gaze, however, was already fixed on the direction the stardust indicated. "It's pointing beyond the charted lanes, Aris, well beyond." Her pilot's instincts were already whirring. "It's not just a curiosity, Ilara. This is an invitation." "An invitation to where?" Ilara asked, her heart a drum. "That," Lena said, a flicker of her old adventurous spirit in her eyes, "is what we need to find out." Over the next few days, the Vance family home transformed into a research hub. Aris, with his vast network of scientific contacts, consulted with astrophysicists and xenogeologists across the settled systems. Lena, using her old pilot credentials, accessed restricted navigational databases and long-range sensor logs. Ilara, meanwhile, became the Stardust's primary observer, noting every subtle shift, every change in its luminosity. They discovered the Stardust wasn't merely pointing. It was pulsing. A faint, rhythmic beat, imperceptible to the naked eye, but clear on their specialized sensor arrays, emanating from within the vial. It was a beacon, not just a compass. Their research yielded little. The direction it indicated was a vast, empty expanse of space, beyond the great nebula of Serenity, a region so named because of its apparent lack of activity. A cosmic desert that few ships ever bothered to traverse. All sensor logs showed only diffuse hydrogen and helium, no planets, no anomalies, no known energy signatures. It was truly beyond. 9. It's like it's calling to something that isn't there, or something we can't detect with our current tech, Aris mused one evening, rubbing his temples. "Or something that wants things to be found by Ithis," Lena countered, tapping the vial. "Lyra gave this to you for a reason, Ilara. She was always one for knowing things before anyone else." The more they studied it, the more convinced Ilara became. This wasn't a random anomaly. It was a personal message, a call from the stars just for her. The sense of wonder that had begun in her room now swelled into a powerful conviction. She had to follow it. "I want to go," she announced one night, looking from her father's scientific curiosity to her mother's experienced gaze. "I want to follow the Stardust." Aris looked startled, but Lena simply nodded slowly. "I thought you might," she said, a small smile playing on her lips. "It's in your blood, Starlight, but it won't be easy. This isn't a pleasure cruise to the Jovian moons." "I know," Elara replied, her voice firm. "But it feels right, like it's meant to be." Her parents, after much debate and careful planning, agreed. They knew Elara was extraordinary, and they trusted Lyra's intuition implicitly. But they wouldn't send her unprepared. Thus began Elara's training. Lena, dusting off her old flight simulators, taught Elara the intricacies of celestial navigation, emergency protocols, and the delicate art of piloting a star skimmer through asteroid fields and nebulae. Aris tutored her in astrobiology, xenolinguistics, just in case, and the fundamental physics of hyperspace travel. She learned to identify star systems by their spectral signatures, to interpret cosmic background radiation, and even how to make a decent meal from emergency rations. Their choice of vessel was a small, agile scout ship called the Stargazer. It was an older model, a reliable workhorse from Lena's days, designed for deep space reconnaissance. It had a compact living module, a surprisingly robust warp drive, and a suite of long-range sensors. Most importantly, it was simple enough for Elara to manage alone, with the aid of its friendly, slightly antiquated AI, affectionately named Orion. Orion had a deep, calming voice, like the gentle hum of a distant star. "Welcome aboard, Navigator Elara," it intoned the day she first stepped onto the Stargazer's ramp. "I am ready to assist in your cosmic endeavors." The day of departure was bittersweet. Her parents stood on the Lumina launchpad, their faces a mixture of pride and apprehension. Lumina itself, a marvel of bio-integrated architecture, seemed to hold its breath. Its crystalline spires shimmered under the artificial sun, its hydroponic gardens glowing softly. "Remember your protocols, Elara," Lena said, embracing her tightly. "And trust your instincts. Orion is your co-pilot, not just a computer." "Be safe, my Starlight," Aris added, handing her a small, intricately carved wooden charm. "For luck, and a reminder of home." Elara clutched the charm, then the vial of stardust, now nestled in a specially designed, self-stabilizing cradle on the Stargazer's navigation console. It pulsed steadily, its internal light brighter than ever, pointing forward. "I will," she promised, her voice thick with emotion. She hugged them one last time, then climbed the ramp into the Stargazer. The hatch hissed shut, sealing her into her new, solitary world. Inside the cockpit, Orion's voice was a comforting presence. "All systems nominal, Navigator. Ready for launch sequence." Elara took a deep breath, settling into the pilot's chair. Her hands, surprisingly steady, moved across the glowing controls. "Orion, initiate pre-flight diagnostics. Prepare for vertical ascent." The Stargazer rumbled to life. A low thrum vibrated through the deck. Outside, through the viewport, she could see her parents waving, growing smaller as the ship's grav lifts engaged. The launchpad receded, then the shimmering layers of lumina, until the city was a jewel-like bloom against the vast canvas of space. "Ascent complete," Orion announced. Transitioning to orbital trajectory. Elara watched Lumina shrink, becoming a luminous pearl on the dark velvet of Earth. Then, with a final lingering glance, she turned the Stargazer's nose towards the stars, towards the unwavering direction indicated by the pulsing stardust. "Orion," she commanded, "set course for the coordinates provided by the Stardust sector. Engage warp drive when clear of Sol System's outer markers." "Course plotted," Orion responded. "Estimated time to first jump point, 4 hours, 37 minutes. Enjoy the journey, Navigator." The journey began. The first few hours were spent in the familiar expanse of the Sol System, but as the Stargazer cleared the last orbital markers, Elara felt a profound shift. This wasn't a charted route. This was truly venturing out. With a gentle lurch, the ship plunged into warp space. The stars outside elongated into streaks of pure light, a tunnel of shimmering, impossible colors. It was breathtaking, a spectacle she'd seen countless times in simulations, but never experienced alone, with an unknown destination ahead. Days bled into weeks. Elara fell into a rhythm. Wake, check systems, consult the Stardust, plot micro-adjustments, eat, sleep, repeat. Orion was her constant companion, its calming voice providing data, analysis, and occasional trivia about the cosmic phenomena they passed. They traversed vast stretches of interstellar dust, where the warp tunnel seemed to ripple with unseen energies. They skirted the edges of ancient dying nebulae, their colors a painter's palette of magenta, cyan, and gold, each one a testament to the universe's artistry. Elara saw binary stars locked in an eternal dance, their gravitational embrace creating swirling vortexes of light. She navigated through the quiet majesty of dark matter clouds, where Orion's sensors strained to pierce the veil of the unseen. The Stardust, in its cradle, never wavered. If anything, its pulse grew stronger, its light a little brighter, as if feeding on the proximity of the cosmic tapestry. Elara often found herself simply staring at it, trying to decipher its silent language. It wasn't just pointing. It felt like it was guiding her, reassuring her. Loneliness was a constant companion, but it was a quiet, contemplative kind of loneliness, balanced by the immense wonder of her surroundings. She missed her parents, the familiar hum of Lumina, the scent of her father's synth tea. But the call of the Stardust was stronger, an irresistible siren song. One cycle, Orion detected a faint, previously uncatalogued energy signature. Navigator, I am detecting unusual gravimetric distortions approximately 3 light minutes ahead, unidentified source. Elara's heart quickened. She brought the Stargazer out of warp, the streaking stars snapping back into pinprick reality. Ahead, where the Stardust pointed, was a swirling, opalescent cloud of gas and dust, unlike any nebula she had ever seen. It pulsed with a soft internal light, shifting through hues of sapphire, emerald, and amethyst. Orion, full sensor scan, Elara ordered, leaning forward in her seat. The Stardust in its cradle practically vibrated, its light intensified, casting dancing reflections on the console. It was pulling her, almost physically, towards the luminous cloud. Sensors indicate a localized pocket of highly condensed exotic matter within the nebula, Orion reported, its voice tinged with mild surprise. Gravimetric readings are inconsistent with known stellar formations. There appears to be a stable wormhole-like aperture at its core, but it is too small for standard navigation. Elara frowned. A wormhole? But the Stardust isn't pointing to a wormhole, it's pointing way through it. Indeed, Navigator, the Stardust's vector terminates approximately 0.5 parsecs beyond the estimated egress point of the anomaly. However, the aperture is unique. It seems to react to the energy signature of the Stardust. As Orion spoke, the Stardust pulsed with a newfound intensity. Its light flared, momentarily outshining the console lights. And then, impossibly, a single mote of stardust, almost invisible to the naked eye, detached itself from the vial. It floated towards the viewport, then accelerated, a tiny glittering spear, directly towards the swirling opalescent cloud. As it approached the anomaly, the cloud shimmered, parting like a curtain. The wormhole-like aperture that Orion had mentioned began to expand, not violently, but with a gentle, inviting grace, revealing a tunnel of pure, swirling light. It was no longer too small. It was perfectly sized for the Stargazer. Elara gasped. The Stardust had opened the way. Orion, she breathed, her voice filled with awe and a touch of trepidation. The Stardust is leading us through. Can we navigate that? Affirmative, Navigator, Orion replied. Its calm voice unwavering. The aperture is stable and appears to be a direct conduit. Energy fluctuations are within acceptable parameters for transit. However, I have no data on the destination. Beyond this point, all charts are blank. Elara looked at the swirling tunnel of light, then at the vial, which was now pulsing with a steady, triumphant glow. This was it. The true unknown. The Stardust had led her across vast, empty spaces, not to a star, not to a planet, but to a doorway. She took a deep breath, her eyes bright with determination. Then let's go, Orion. Engage thrusters. full speed ahead into the unknown. The eye stargazer surged forward, a tiny speck against the cosmic grandeur, towards the shimmering, inviting portal. Elara gripped the controls, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and the most exhilarating sense of purpose she had ever known. The Stardust pulsed, a silent, ancient guide, leading her deeper into the cosmos, to a place where no one from Lumina had ever been. The portal swallowed them whole. It wasn't a sudden jolt, but a dissolution, a shimmering unraveling of reality. The vibrant stardust that had guided them intensified, blooming into a blinding supernova of sapphire and gold, then fractured into a million fleeting motes that danced just beyond the stargazer's reinforced viewport. Elara felt a strange sensation, as if her very atoms were being stretched thin, then compressed, then rewoven into a new fabric of existence. The familiar hum of the ship's engines morphed into a resonant thrum that vibrated deep in her bones, a primal chord struck in the heart of the cosmos. "Orion," she whispered, her voice a fragile reed against the symphonic chaos. Her hands gripped the controls, but they felt insubstantial, almost illusory. "Temporal displacement minimal, Elara," Orion's voice replied, remarkably calm, though his holographic avatar flickered erratically, as if struggling to maintain coherence. "Spatial coordinates wildly unstable. Energy readings, unprecedented. Hold steady, we are transiting." The transit felt like an eternity compressed into a single breathless moment. Colors bled into each other, forming impossible gradients, hues of violet and emerald that didn't exist in Lumina's spectrum. Shapes warped, stars elongated into streaks of light, then coalesced into swirling galaxies that spun with dizzying speed. Elara squeezed her eyes shut for a second, overwhelmed, then forced them open. She had to witness this. Every fraction of a second was a page torn from the universe's secret history. Then, as abruptly as it began, it ended. The kaleidoscope of light collapsed, the resonant hum faded, and the stargazer emerged into an unfamiliar void. The silence that followed was profound, absolute, broken only by the steady, reassuring thrum of the ship's life support. Elara blinked, adjusting her vision. Her heart, which had been a frantic drum, now beat with a slow, heavy rhythm against her ribs. She was still here. The ship was intact. But the cosmos outside, it was utterly alien. The stars weren't the familiar yellow-whites and reds of Lumina's spiral arm. Here, they burned with fierce, jewel-like intensity, emerald greens, sapphire blues, deep amethysts, and even a strange, pulsating crimson that seemed to throb with an inner life. Entire nebulae drifted like vast celestial gardens, their tendrils glowing with bioluminescent gases in shades Elara had never imagined. One particularly stunning formation unfurled directly ahead of them, a cosmic tapestry woven from shimmering silver and gold dust, threaded with veins of what looked like solidified light. "Orion," Elara breathed, her voice hushed with awe. Where are we?" Orion's avatar solidified, his calm blue eyes reflecting the alien grandeur. "Analysis complete, Elara. We are no longer in the Lumina galaxy. Indeed, our current position is approximately 1.7 million light-years from the nearest known galaxy cluster. Preliminary scans suggest we have crossed into an entirely different galactic supercluster, possibly even a separate dimension of spacetime, given the unique energy signature of the portal." "A different dimension?" Elara repeated, her mind struggling to grasp the implications. This wasn't just a jump to another galaxy, it was a leap into a new reality. The laws of physics appear to be consistent, albeit with subtle deviations in cosmological constants that would be imperceptible without advanced instrumentation, Orion explained. However, the stellar composition, nebular elements, and even the fundamental frequencies of cosmic background radiation are distinct. "We are truly pioneers, Elara. The first from Lumina to witness this." Elara leaned back in her chair, a dizzying cocktail of triumph and trepidation swirling within her. She had done it. They had done it. But now what? The stardust, which had pulsed with such clear guidance before the portal, now merely drifted outside, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer, as if its immediate purpose had been fulfilled. "Is there any sign of anything?" she asked, gesturing vaguely at the alien expanse. "Life? Structures? Another portal?" Orion's sensors swept the vastness. No immediate intelligent signals detected, no artificial structures within scanning range. The Stardust, while still present, no longer emits its previous directional resonance. Its energy signature has shifted. It now appears to be in a dormant state. Dormant, Elara mused. So, it brought us here, and now it's waiting. For what? Perhaps for us to discover our next path, Orion suggested. Or for a specific condition to be met. Elara nodded slowly, her gaze sweeping over the alien stars. This was true exploration now. No maps, no guiding lights, just the raw, untamed cosmos. A thrill, sharp and exhilarating, cut through her initial apprehension. All right, Orion, let's not just drift. Initiate a wide-range scan. I want to know everything we can about this new sector. Look for anything unusual, any anomalies, any planets that might sustain life, even if it's not like ours. Scanning initiated, Orion confirmed. Processing vast data sets will require time. May I suggest we establish a baseline for environmental parameters and ensure the Stargazer systems are fully adapted to this new cosmic environment? Good idea, Elara agreed, already feeling the familiar rhythm of scientific inquiry taking over. She was a scholar, an archivist, and now an explorer. Her training was her anchor in this sea of unknowns. Run full diagnostics. Check shields, propulsion, life support. We need to be ready for anything. Hours blurred into a quiet hum of data processing and system checks. Elara felt a strange sense of isolation, vast and profound. She was millions of light years from home, from everything she had ever known. No messages could reach her here. No one even knew where she was. Yet, paradoxically, she also felt an incredible sense of freedom and unburdening. The weight of Lumar's expectations, the ancient prophecies, even the pressure of the Stardust's guidance had all fallen away. She was charting her own course now. Elara, Orion's voice broke her reverie. I have detected a significant anomaly. Elara straightened, her focus snapping back to the main view screen. What is it? Approximately 10 light-years portside, Orion indicated with a holographic marker. A colossal energy signature, unlike any star or nebula I have on record. It appears to be an enormous spherical structure, almost perfectly symmetrical. Its composition is entirely unknown. It's radiating a complex, multi-frequency energy pattern. Elara zoomed the view screen. The object was indeed massive, dwarfing even the largest supergent stars she knew of. It glowed with a soft internal luminescence, a pale lavender hue that pulsed gently. It wasn't a star, yet it radiated energy. It wasn't a nebula, for its edges were too sharp, too defined. It looked artificial. Impossible, yet undeniably real. Can you get a closer reading? Elara asked, her voice hushed. Attempting long-range spectral analysis, Orion replied. However, the energy emanating from it seems to subtly warp spacetime around it, making precise measurements difficult. My initial assessment suggests it is incredibly ancient, possibly predating the formation of many of the stars in this sector. Ancient, Elara whispered, a shiver tracing down her spine. The Stardust had been ancient. This structure could be connected. What's its purpose? Unknown, Orion stated. But the energy patterns, they are highly structured, almost like a language, a complex mathematical language perhaps. Elara felt a surge of excitement. This was it. This was the unknown she had yearned for. Set a course, Orion. Cautious approach. Keep shields at maximum. I want to get closer. Acknowledged, Orion responded, and the Stargazer smoothly altered its trajectory, gliding towards the colossal lavender sphere. As they drew nearer, the sheer scale of the object became even more staggering. It was truly gargantuan, larger than many gas giants. Its surface wasn't smooth, but intricately patterned with swirling lines and geometric shapes that seemed to shift and flow with the internal light. It looked like a cosmic jewel, carved by unimaginable forces. It's not solid, Orion reported. My scans indicate its composition is an intricate lattice of exotic matter and energy fields. It's hollow, or at least appears to contain vast internal spaces. A Dyson sphere? Elara mused, recalling ancient theoretical constructs from Lumar's archives. But not around a star, it was the energy source. More akin to a Dyson brain or a Matryoshka brain on a galactic scale perhaps, Orion offered. A colossal computational structure, or a habitat, or something entirely beyond our current comprehension. Elara peered closer. Within the intricate patterns on the surface, she began to discern faint, almost translucent filaments of what looked like the same stardust that had guided them. It wasn't dormant here, it was integrated, part of the structure itself, glowing softly as if feeding it. The stardust, Elara pointed. It's part of it. This must be connected to its origin. A high probability, Elara, Orion confirmed. The energy signature of the stardust here is identical to the dormant fragments we carry, only amplified by an order of magnitude. The stargazer reached an optimal observation distance, hovering just outside the swirling space-time distortions. Elara felt a profound sense of reverence. This was not just technology. It was art on a cosmic scale, a monument to a civilization that must have wielded power beyond imagination. Can we find an entrance? Elara asked, her voice barely a whisper. Scans indicate multiple ingress points, Orion replied, highlighting several shimmering portals embedded in the structure's surface. They appear to be energy gateways, similar in principle to the one we traversed, but much smaller and localized. Elara hesitated, a flicker of fear mingling with her awe. Entering this structure felt like stepping into the mind of a god. What if it was still active? What if its creators were still within? Any life signs? None detected, Orion confirmed. The structure is active, but appears to be operating autonomously. No organic or synthetic life forms detected within. All right, Elara said, her resolve firming. Select the most stable gateway. Prepare for entry. We came all this way for answers, Orion, and I think this might be where we find them. Engaging approach vector, Orion announced. The stargazer glided towards one of the shimmering portals, a perfect circle of swirling violet light on the lavender sphere's surface. As they approached, the swirling patterns on the sphere seemed to flow towards the gateway, as if welcoming them. The transition was smoother this time, less disorienting. They passed through the violet portal into a vast enclosed space. It was not dark, but illuminated by a soft, ambient glow emanating from the walls themselves. The space was enormous, large enough to contain entire cities, yet it was utterly devoid of conventional structures. Instead, shimmering pathways of light crisscrossed the cavernous interior, leading to massive, crystalline formations that pulsed with the same lavender light as the sphere's exterior. Incredible, Elara whispered, gazing around. The air was breathable, the gravity nominal. It felt like standing inside a colossal, living jewel. This appears to be an access chamber, Orion stated, his sensors whirring. The ambient energy levels are stable, no immediate threats detected. What are those crystals? Elara asked, pointing at the towering formations that glittered in the distance. They seemed to grow organically from the floor and ceiling, reaching towards each other like frozen lightning. They are composed of a hyperdense, crystalline material, infused with exotic energy, Orion explained. They appear to be data storage units, or perhaps processing cores. Each crystal is radiating complex information patterns. Information? Elara's eyes widened. Can you access it? Attempting to establish a connection, Orion replied. His avatar flickered for a moment, then solidified. The data architecture is unlike anything in Lumina's databases. It's extraordinarily complex, layered, and multidimensional. It's not a language we can directly translate, but rather a stream of pure information, interwoven with experiential data. Experiential data? Elara frowned. Like memories? Perhaps, Orion said. Or sensory input from an alien perspective. It's difficult to categorize. However, I am detecting a localized informational node directly ahead, emitting a slightly different frequency. Orion highlighted a section of the chamber. At its center, where several light pathways converged, stood a single smaller crystal, no larger than Elara herself. It glowed with a slightly brighter, more focused light, and its surface seemed to ripple with intricate, shifting patterns. Let's go there, Elara decided, her curiosity overriding her caution. Take us in, Orion, and your controls. The stargazer moved gracefully, following the shimmering light paths until it hovered before the central crystal. Elara disengaged the pilot seat restraints and walked to the viewport, pressing her hand against the cool, transparent surface. The crystal pulsed in rhythm with her own heartbeat. As she watched, the intricate patterns on its surface resolved into fleeting, ethereal images. She saw glimpses of vibrant nebulae, of colossal ships unlike any she'd ever imagined, of alien beings made of pure light, and then a fleeting vision of the Stardust, not as particles, but as a vast flowing river connecting stars. It's showing me things, Elara murmured, mesmerized. Visions, like a dream. It's projecting information directly into your consciousness, Elara, Orion said, a hint of surprise in his voice. A form of telepathic data transfer, perhaps. Are you experiencing any discomfort? No, Elara whispered, completely captivated. Just wonder. It's like the universe is whispering its secrets to me. The images intensified, forming a coherent narrative. She saw the creation of the Stardust, not as a random cosmic event, but as a deliberate act, a seeding of the cosmos by an ancient, benevolent civilization. They were the architects, beings of pure energy and thought, who had woven the fabric of reality and guided the nascent intelligent species across countless galaxies. The Stardust wasn't just a navigational tool. It was a living library, a distributed consciousness, a network designed to awaken and connect civilizations. She saw the architects retreat, their purpose fulfilled, leaving behind their legacy in structures like this one, the cosmic weavers, as the visions named them. These colossal spheres were not just databanks but way stations, beacons, and even accelerators for emerging consciousness. They contained knowledge, not just of technology, but of philosophy, art, and the very nature of existence itself. Then the visions shifted, growing darker. She saw an encroaching shadow, a slow corruption that spread across the cosmic tapestry. A parasitic force, drawn to the Stardust's energy, that sought to consume and twist the architect's legacy. It wasn't a physical entity, but a malevolent ideology, a cancer of thought that manifested as destructive technological singularities, warring empires and civilizations that devoured their own stars. The Stardust, once a vibrant river, was fragmented, its connections severed, its purpose obscured. And then, a new vision. A single, faint spark. Lumina. And a single individual, driven by curiosity, following a forgotten thread of Stardust. Her. It's a history, Elara breathed, tears pricking her eyes. The history of the architects, of the Stardust, of... The crystal is responding to your presence, Elara, Orion observed. It appears to be a personalized interface, tailored to your unique biofrequency and intellectual curiosity. It is actively uploading information to your neural pathways. Elara felt a gentle pressure behind her eyes, a vast influx of knowledge flooding her mind. It wasn't just data, it was understanding, intuition, a deeper grasp of the universe's interconnectedness. She felt a profound sense of responsibility settle upon her shoulders. The architects hadn't just left behind tools, they had left a mission. The Stardust fragments, Elara said, her voice filled with newfound conviction. They aren't just guides, they're keys. Keys to reawakening the network, to repairing the damage. This structure, this cosmic weaver, it's a central node, it can help us. Help us how, Elara? Orion asked, his voice betraying a hint of his own processing of this new, monumental information. It can amplify the Stardust signal, Elara explained, the words flowing freely, as if they had always been in her mind. It can help us find other dormant fragments, other cosmic weavers. The crystal pulsed one last time, projecting a final powerful image into her mind, a map. Not a star map of constellations, but a map of Stardust pathways, fractured and incomplete, stretching across uncounted galaxies. Some pathways were dark, severed. Others glowed faintly, waiting. And scattered along these pathways were hundreds, thousands of tiny, luminous points, dormant cosmic weavers, waiting to be rediscovered, reconnected. One of these points, far away in a distant, emerald-hued galaxy, pulsed with a particularly strong, inviting light. It was the next destination. The next key. The architects left a legacy, Elara said, turning from the crystal, her eyes shining with a fierce, renewed purpose. And a warning. The shadow they spoke of, it's still out there. A monumental task, Elara, Orion acknowledged. The sheer scale of the network is beyond anything we could have conceived. But not impossible, Elara countered, a small determined smile playing on her lips. We have a map now, we have a purpose, and we have the Stargazer. We are no longer just explorers, Orion, we are restorers, guardians. The crystal before them, having delivered its message, dimmed slightly, its patterns settling into a quiescent hum. The energy signatures around them, however, seemed to subtly shift, as if the entire cosmic weaver was now aware of their presence and of their intentions. This node has downloaded its core data into the Stargazer's archives, Elara Orion reported. It also appears to have calibrated our Stardust fragments, enhancing their sensitivity and extending their range. The map you saw is now integrated into our navigation system. Elara walked back to the command chair, her stride purposeful. She felt lighter, yet heavier, burdened with a glorious purpose. Then we know our next step. Orion, plot a course for that strong pulsing node, the one in the Emerald Galaxy. Prepare for another jump, but this time, through one of the Cosmic Weaver's internal transit gates. It should be safer, faster. Acknowledged, Elara, Orion replied, his avatar's eyes glowing brighter. Calculating optimal trajectory through internal transit conduits? The journey will be long, traversing vast intergalactic distances, but the Weaver's network is designed for efficiency. Elara settled into her seat, her hand instinctively finding the controls. She looked out at the vast crystalline interior of the Cosmic Weaver, then at the shimmering network of light pathways on the navigation screen, leading to a point unknown, to a new adventure. The isolation was still there, but now it was tempered by a sense of belonging, of being part of something truly ancient and grand. She was a single thread, but she was connected to a cosmic loom. Engage internal thrusters, Orion, Elara commanded, a sense of profound peace washing over her. Full speed ahead, the universe is waiting. The Stargazer began to move, gliding deeper into the heart of the Cosmic Weaver, towards another shimmering portal that beckoned them onward, towards the next piece of the grand tapestry, towards a future she could only just begin to imagine. The stars of this new galaxy, burning with their impossible colors, watched silently as Lumina's lone explorer embarked on a journey that would redefine her world and perhaps the cosmos itself. The Stargazer plunged into the shimmering portal, not with a jarring jolt, but a slow, melt-into-light experience. Colors washed over the viewport, not just the impossible hues of the Cosmic Weaver, but new spectrums, unheard-of frequencies, swirling into patterns that defied earthly optics. Lumina felt a gentle tug, a reorientation of reality itself. For a moment she was everywhere and nowhere, a single consciousness adrift in a sea of pure energy, her own being dissolving and reforming with each pulse of light. The hum of the ship, usually a comforting drone, became a symphony of resonant frequencies, vibrating through the very bones of the vessel. Then, with a final, soft assumption, they emerged. The view was breathtaking. Instead of a field of individual stars, they were in a nebula of living light. Wisps of bioluminescent gas drifted like celestial petals, coalescing into vast slow-motion gardens. Planets, not rocky spheres or gas giants, but immense crystalline structures, pulsed with inner light, orbiting a binary sun system that hummed with a deep, resonant frequency. These suns were a swirling dance of amethyst and gold, casting long, intricate shadows across the crystalline worlds. This was the Garden Nebula, as her ship's nascent AI, Stardust, immediately designated it, its synthesized voice tinged with a digital wonder Lumina hadn't heard before. Stardustum was a personality matrix, designed to learn and grow alongside Lumina, but still in its infancy when they departed Lumina's home system. Now, it was evolving at an accelerated rate, processing the torrent of new data with an eagerness that mirrored Lumina's own. Sensors indicate unprecedented biodiversity, Lumina, life signatures everywhere, and the energy readings, they're unlike anything in our database. Lumina guided the stargazer towards the largest of the crystal planets, a world she named Athel, meaning noble in an old Earth tongue. Its surface wasn't solid rock, but intricate crystalline structures that seemed to grow organically, reaching into the nebula like immense, transparent cathedrals. Some spires stretched so high, they pierced the lower layers of the nebula, collecting luminescent gas like dew, causing them to glow with an ethereal, internal light. She deployed a specialized probe, the Glimmerwing, a drone designed for atmospheric sampling and close proximity observation. The Glimmerwing, a delicate craft with gossamer wings that shimmered in the ambient light, sent back images of light beings, graceful creatures of pure energy, swimming through the crystalline air. They communicated not with sound, but with shifting patterns of light, painting stories on the planet's surface, weaving intricate, momentary tapestries of color and motion. They were fluid, ethereal, yet undeniably alive, their forms constantly shifting, like living stained glass windows. Lumina felt a pang of loneliness, a familiar ache amidst the overwhelming wonder. How could she communicate with beings made of light? Her universal translator, usually so adept at deciphering even the most alien phonemes and syntaxes, was silent, finding no equivalent for pure light thought. It was a language beyond sound, beyond touch, a language of pure visual poetry. The eye stargazer descended, landing gently on a crystalline plateau that hummed with a low, melodic vibration. Lumina donned her environmental suit, designed for exotic atmospheres, its helmet equipped with advanced optical processors capable of translating light patterns into cognitive concepts. As she stepped out onto the pulsating surface of Athel, the ground beneath her feet resonated with that deep hum, a vibration that resonated deep within her chest, a silent song that seemed to welcome her. The light beings, initially curious, kept their distance, swirling in elegant arcs above her. But as Lumina stood still, observing, allowing her helmet's processors to work, she noticed patterns in the light they emitted. It wasn't just random communication, it was a memory, a history, a living record. The crystals themselves seemed to absorb and reflect these memories, glowing brighter in response to the light beams' narratives. The entire planet was alive with stored knowledge, a vast organic library. Stardusting's voice, now holding a richer timbre, chimed in her ear. Lumina, the planet itself appears to be a vast living data archive. These beings, they are recording their entire existence into the planetary matrix. It's not merely communication, it's a continuous, multidimensional chronicle. Lumina realized this wasn't just a new world, it was a library, a testament to an ancient form of cosmic archiving. She spent weeks, then months on Athel, studying the light patterns, the planetary hum. Her helmet's processors, guided by Stardust's expanding algorithms, slowly began to decipher the complex language. She learned about the light beings' peaceful existence, their profound connection to the nebula, their role in maintaining the cosmic balance. They were not just living, they were remembering the universe, preserving its stories, its beauty, its sorrow, in the luminous heart of Athel. Then, a specific pattern emerged, repeated across different crystal formations, not just from the light beams, but seemingly emanating from the planet's core. It was a symbol one she'd seen before, faintly etched on the stargazer's original schematics, a representation of the cosmic weaver itself. The symbol pulsed, radiating a deeper light, and a story unfolded, not just of Athel, but of the universe. The cosmic weaver Lumina understood now wasn't just a pathway. It was a network of conscious entities, ancient and vast, nurturing life, guiding evolution, and preserving knowledge across the cosmos. The portals were not just wormholes, but conduits of understanding, gateways to the grand cosmic library. Each galaxy, each nebula, each unique civilization, contributed its own thread to this infinite tapestry of existence. The light beings of Athel were librarians, preserving their thread for all eternity. The message implied that humanity, with its unique blend of curiosity, creativity, and empathy, had a crucial role to play. They were not merely observers but potential threads in this grand tapestry. Their stories, their struggles, their capacity for both great destruction and profound love, were valuable additions. The Weaver was calling for new perspectives, new stories to add to its cosmic library, inviting humanity to become conscious participants. Lumina felt overwhelmed. Her small mission, once about simply finding new worlds, had expanded into something immeasurable. She was a single, fragile human, yet she carried the potential of her entire species, a new voice to add to the ancient cosmic choir. The Eye Stargazer had enough power and supplies for further exploration, for more portals, more new galaxies. But the pull of home, of Lumina, her sister, her world, grew stronger. She had gathered so much. Could she truly understand her purpose without sharing this knowledge, without weaving humanity's thread into the cosmic weaver? She communed with Stardust. "What do you think, Stardust? What's the next step?" Stardust, now far more advanced, responded with a voice that held a hint of profound wisdom. "Lumina, the cosmic weaver provides pathways, not destinations. Your journey has changed you, it has changed me. The greatest discovery, perhaps, is not out there, but in how we bring want there back, yin here." Stardust projected a holographic image of Lumina's home planet, a swirling blue and green marble, small and precious, hanging in the vastness. Lumina made her decision. She would return, not to end her journey but to begin a new phase. She would share what she had learned, inspire others, and prepare her species for their own conscious entry into the cosmic weaver. She would help humanity understand its place, not as conquerors of the stars, but as integral, cherished threads in the universe's boundless fabric. She charted a course back through the Garden Nebula, towards a portal that would lead her to the next node in the Weaver's network, a route she had carefully mapped during her time on Ethel. This route, a series of gentle transitions through familiar, yet ever-changing, shimmering gates, would eventually lead her back towards her home galaxy. The light beings of Ethel pulsed a final complex pattern as the Stargazer lifted off, a farewell, a blessing, and a promise. The journey back through the cosmic weaver was different. Lumina was no longer just a traveler, she was a participant. She understood the energy flows, the subtle currents. She felt a connection to the shimmering threads, like a hand finding its way through a familiar, albeit infinite, loom. She passed through several more portals, each revealing fleeting glimpses of diverse realities. A world made entirely of sentient fog, a star system where planets danced in complex mathematical ballets, a nebula where time flowed backward. But she resisted the urge to linger. Her mission was clear: return, share, prepare. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, but was only a matter of subjective months due to the weaver's unique temporal properties, the familiar constellations of her home galaxy, the Milky Way, a comforting spiral of stars, beckoned like a lighthouse. Stardust chimed, proximity alert, Lumina's system in range, estimated arrival, 17 hours. Lumina felt a tear trace a path down her cheek, sparkling in the soft glow of the console. Not tears of sadness, but of profound gratitude and a quiet, overwhelming joy. She had left as an explorer seeking the unknown. She returned as a messenger, carrying the whispers of the universe, a new story to add to humanity's own evolving thread. The Eye Stargazer descended through Lumina's atmosphere, a beacon of hope and wonder. Her sister, older now, her face etched with years of patient waiting, stood on the landing pad, a smile of unbelievable relief and pride on her face. As Lumina stepped out, she was no longer just a girl with a dream, but a woman who had touched the stars and brought their stories back. She shared her experiences, not just with her sister, but with the world. She showed them the light beings of Ethel, the living nebulae, the endless threads of the cosmic weaver. Her journey sparked a new era for Lumina, an era of conscious exploration, not of conquest, but of connection. Other ships, inspired by her tale, began to venture into the cosmic weaver, guided by Lumina's maps and understanding, each explorer adding their own unique perspective to the cosmic tapestry. Years passed. Lumina, now an elder stateswoman of exploration, her eyes still holding the impossible colors of distant galaxies, would often sit with young children, telling them tales of the cosmic weaver. And so she'd say, her voice soft and warm, her hand gently tracing patterns in the air, "The universe isn't just a vast empty space, it's a grand tapestry, woven with light and life, with stories and dreams. And each one of us, every star, every planet, every shimmering light being, and every curious human heart, is a precious thread in that. She'd look out at the night sky, now dotted with the faint trails of new Stargazer-class ships heading into the Weaver, tiny beacons of burgeoning wonder. So dream big, little ones. Dream of impossible colors and humming planets, of ancient light beings and galaxies that sing. For the universe is always waiting, and you too are part of its endless beautiful story. Close your eyes now and let your dreams take you on your own adventure among the stars. The lights would dim, and the children would drift to sleep, their minds filled with the impossible colors of distant nebulae, the hum of crystal planets, and the gentle whisper of the cosmic weaver,